Okay, for the appendices, they it gives like an example of like the path to business performance, what great manager says, selection of talents, finding Q12, and then the meta analysis. And so for appendix A, like just like using the 12 questions and just like really guiding it through and like identifying like how a great business is run is essentially like how it's describing it at the very beginning. So like real profit increase drives stock increase, sustainable growth drives profit increase, loyal customers drive sustainable growth, and like so on. And just like essentially just like a little summary of like how each thing like drives this thing. And so like off of appendix A, it was just saying like how each of the steps, like it shows like each of them is like defined by a question in the Q12. And so like just using the Q12 as like pretty much a guide into going into the future. And then just like step 1 and 2 of the 12 Qs are really just like the defining and like ground rock of the company. And it's just saying like first you need to identify like employees' individual strengths, and then in step 2 you need to find a position that the individual can perform like to capitalize on those strengths. And so that's like steps 1 and 2, but also really just like make sure that you know exactly where, and like if you know that, that's like the general like base and ground of a business. And then it said like every single employee's talent will be released into customer focused performance and the company will become strong. So just essentially like as we've said in the last couple chapters, like essentially if a person knows this and is thriving and like doing well in their talents and like what they do, like it'll be a good like ground company. In appendix B, I really enjoyed like this section. I even started before I even read the appendices. I went over to it, and it was pretty much saying like great managers aren't looking for people who are easy to manage. They're looking for people to have the talent to be world class, and they also then prefer the challenge of taking a talented person and focusing on them toward productivity, and the challenge of trying to make a less productive person talented. So essentially, like it just kind of opened my eye. Like in the very beginning, it's like a manager isn't looking for like an easy option to just like look like a good manager. Like a good manager is looking for like a challenge and like really just like to like amplify and like execute this like whole strategy. And like essentially like why would you try to do that on people who like aren't good? Like you want to do good and you want to be good, like great, essentially to be like a great manager. So like to use this as like a guide, and like it was saying like, oh, would you rather have an independent, aggressive person? Like, yes, you'd rather have the aggressive person who's really good at their job because you want the challenge as a manager, and then you want to also create business. Like, it was just cool to see, like, and like really changed my mind from the very beginning. As like great managers, like, use excellence as their measure rather than like, I don't know, like they do numbers, but like, if you like don't create excellence, then you're not gonna be like excellent. And so I really enjoyed that. And then it goes into like your appendix C, which is the selection of talents, which is where Gallup's like strengths finders test comes from. And so then it like gives like the strength domains like executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And I think it's crazy because like 4 out of 5 of mine are in the influencing category, because I'm an activator, I have communication, maximizer, and then woo, which essentially activator is like someone who can like make things happen, like turning thoughts into actions like fast. But like a downside to that is like being impatient, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. Communication, people like are usually like good conversationalists and presenters, which I think that I really like thrive in that like conversation like aspect of it. And so I think that was cool to see. A maximizer, I really liked this like definition of it. It's like it seeks to transform something strong into something superb. It's just like not something like good to great, but it's like something that's already great and just making it like 10 times better. I just think that's really cool. Like I'm not looking for just like something like lame and making it cool. I'm looking for something that's amazing and trying to make it even more amazing. And like I really see this like in myself, like with people, like if they are already being amazing, like how can I become someone in their life to make them even more amazing? That's like how I've like really focused on my like friendships in this last year. So I think that was cool to see. And then woo, like winning others over, like derive satisfaction from breaking the ice and making a connection with someone. I like is 100% like who I am. So like the influencing one, and then I have one relationship building one, which is includer. That was my top one, and it's like they show awareness of those who feel left out and make an effort to include them, which I didn't really notice in myself until like this last year, and I think it's really been like evident in this last year, which is cool to see. But like essentially when you like look at through all these and like have people do their tests, like you need someone from each category to like really dive into a like say group project or a company, like because if you have all of those like present and then the fact like that you're listening to each other and like really helping each other grow, it's just like there's so many talents that like each person brings their own individual talents into a group, which makes it great. And so it's like it's really cool to see like if I know someone in like who's more analytical, like I'm not as analytical, so like having someone in that like perspective like really brings like my group just 10 times better. There's like a whole bunch of it, but and then like going into the appendix, it's like finding the Q12 is like the work environment, the immediate supervisor, team and coworker, overall company, and then an individual commitment. I think like those 5 like really just like dive into the 12, and then it's just like it's showing like that these are like actionable items and like they can be changed and they can really have like something be done about them. Like it's not just like, oh well that sucks, like if your company sucks it sucks. It's like no, like they want you to like be able to change and like make it better and be like greater. And so like it's like I think it was cool that it was saying how it's like changeable and like able to be changed. And then it goes into the appendix E and talking about the meta-analysis, which is really like the details of the entire study, which is cool because it's like interesting to see it like really play out and like how they did it. And there wasn't much notes to be taken on during this because it was more like just essentially like how you are, like, or how they did the results and how they did everything. I did like circle a few things where it was like saying like they really like related it to meaningful outcomes and like they really wanted the best for a company, so they wanted each question to be like really like considerate of people, employees, managers, and like really just like trying to make them grow and like how they could be better within. They just like also use the talent maximization, and I like stuck out to me just because like since I had maximizer as one of my top ones, I think it was just cool that they like pretty much used that to like make a great manager like amazing, pretty much like a good manager great. And so it's just like people's like opinions of it, like they use themes of individualized perception, performance orientation, mission recognition, learning, growing, expectations, and the right fit. Like they use all of these like really to like dive into the 12 questions, which like then they did also qualitative and quantitative analysis, and that's like essentially what the Q12 is. And so it just like goes on, like I said, like actionable, changeable, and like it's engaging. Like it really like makes you think, and they like have it on a scale from like 1 to 5, and like if you're extremely satisfied where like compared to extremely dissatisfied, like how satisfying is it? And like essentially like you want them all to be a perfect 5. Like as a manager you want people to like say yes and say like 5 to your business, like, and that's when you know it's like thriving. And so it was really cool like seeing how this plays out. And then they gave like an understanding more in-depth like definition of the Q12, which was cool to see as well, because like it gives the Q12 but also like this like really just dove into it. And then it was giving like the hypotheses and like what they were essentially like trying to plan in the meta-analysis, and like just this like whole study in like general. And like they were really focusing on like just every single aspect of it, and they were using like equations, which I like didn't even think was possible, and like this kind of thing. Like, yes, obviously like little equations, like I thought just like dividing and numbers, but like no, they like really like dove in and like were using like formulas like to really just like make sure this was like the general and like best possible like way they could have done this. It just like, and then in the results column it says like the Q12 measurement of employee engagement effectively predicts these outcomes in the expected direction across organizations, including those in different industries in different countries. And so like they didn't just take it from like one single like diverse like or one single undiverse group. They took it from like many countries, many people. Like they explained like how many countries they could take it from, like how many like managers, how many employees, like how many self-owned businesses. And it's like this thing that's like this wasn't just done by like one tiny subgroup of people, like it was done by so many different kinds of people, that it really shows like it's so worth it, and like it actually like makes a difference. It was just saying like at the very end, like it's just like between engagement and performance like really just like defines the like level of business and like the level of like success. And then like altogether it's like the study suggests that the boundaries for the effective and engaging workplace are quite wide. And so it's just not like one person or one thing, it's like everyone coming together to make it happen. And I think like the meta-analysis in like Appendix E was really just like showing like how that all fit together. And so I think it was a really cool opportunity to see this and also read this book. And I just like the way it like made me think, like as a manager and as an employee, like I really I do crave like feedback from my manager. And like it literally was like look in the mirror as often as possible, and like I was like okay, check, like, and just like even like things like that, it's like, oh, I like know like that I'm doing this right, but there's some like there's always like that's one thing where it's like, oh, am I like asking too much, or like it's like no, like do it as much as possible. And just like little things as like an employee, it's just like it makes me feel more confident in me as a worker, and then me more confident in becoming like a manager of who I want to be, who employees want to see me as. And so just like being that person now as an employee and able to be and know what a manager wants, I think it like already gives me a step up, especially with my leadership skills. And like looking at like what Gallup said, like how each company is going to have a different unique person individually. And so like just using all of your individual and unique strengths to like build a company just like really makes it like so worth it to be in a company. And so I just like really appreciated that aspect of this book, and like it was just like a great like gift to be able to read it. And so I think that this was a very good semester in independent study, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much.